want us to, as judges, become so confident in our own, in ourselves, that we don't need to judge by the book, that we can be put in a situation where there's no answer in the book, and we are capable of coming up and getting the valid judgment of the dog, so that we're not tied into a box or something, a rule. And I always go back, I've used this example over and over, but I'm going to go back to it again because it's so good. There was Bartendale's Altus, it was an intermediate test. Joe Naudiker was senior judge, I think Dennis was the other judge, and I was the other judge. And we're going to do the track of the duck, and Webb brings Barton up, and Webb turns to Joe and says, he's never seen a duck. Joe took possibly 30 seconds. He looked at me and he said, this is not the test. I'm going to expose the dog to a duck. And he did, and Dennis and I and Joe did that, and then Joe said, yep, that took about 10 minutes. Dog got a good chase and a little bit of track. Joe said, okay, now we get a duck, another duck, now we test. And we got a fairly valid test where we broke rules. Nothing is in a rule book that tells you how to do that. But that's what being confident enough, and also the senior judge being, really good and very experienced, and very confident and knowledgeable, keeping in mind what your job is. It's to evaluate the dog. It isn't to follow rules. So it's all yours.
Yeah, I think one thing we maybe could do, I see enough new faces that I think we usually do this,
yes.
is each person, starting with one in the back and going across and around, is to identify yourself and where you're from, because we're well represented.
I'm Warren Webster. I'm from Los Altos, California.
I'm Jack Dallimore, and I'm from Umatilla, Oregon.
I'm Victor Woodward. I'm from Seattle, Washington. Gary Poole, Jerome, Idaho.
Kara Hurtig, Bearville, Wisconsin.
Tina Moult, Bristol, Maine.
Tina Poole, from Idaho. Ann Poole, from Idaho.
Dick Bug, Ferndale, Washington.
Harvey Story, Beaverton, Oregon.
Bill Bennett, Bozeman, Montana.
Bill Madden, Bozeman, Montana.
Mike Nance, Bozeman.
J.J. Connor, Helena, Montana.
Dave Seidel, Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Sid Seacon, Kansas City.
Jack Waters, Twin Falls, Idaho.
Justin Redfield, Holland, Montana.
Dave Finley, Plymouth, Indiana.
Larry Simmons, Soldado.
Jarrow, Buell, Idaho.
Cliff Jarrow, Jerome, Idaho.
Glenn Johnston, Bozeman, Montana.
Greg Ruttig, Rock Springs, Wisconsin.
Steve Greaser, Bellingham, Washington.
Lynn Skinner, Salmon, Idaho.
Anita Andrus, Salmon, Idaho.
Lila Lair, Bozeman, Montana.
Glenn Lair, Bozeman, Montana.
Andy Rupp, Denver, Colorado.
Connie Rupp, Denver, Colorado.
Dennis Carlson, Hood River, Oregon. George Kenyon, Emmett, Idaho.
John Bailey from Oregon, Oregon.
Phil Bennett, Lemoyne, Maine.
Judy Coyle, Minnesota.
Dave Chickens, Elkhorn, Nevada.
Bob Mansoka, Twin Falls.
Ken Hurtig, Bearville, Wisconsin.
Rick Malt, Bristol, Maine.
John Pitlow from Iowa.
Yeah, we just got you, money.
Jim Seidel from Marshall, Michigan. Okay, John, I don't know if you have any comments to start with before we get started, but I think the best thing to do is to, as I think all of you know, that Dr. Destal and John and I spent some time together last September. We had a wonderful time there, and during that discussion, during those times, we said we must have, with as much as we learned over several days, we said we have to be able to share this directly if possible. So we worked out a situation where we're able to have Dr. Gosal come here. He joined us in our board of directors meeting this morning and made some discussion in that respect. But mostly what he's here for today is to talk about how the breeding of dogs. That's the title? Breeding of dogs. And we haven't seen his presentation yet, but so that we get to it more quickly, I think we'll just start, we'll go right to it. Welcome, and we're very, very happy to have you here.
Don't clap when you don't know what I'm going to say. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much to your club for the invitation. It's my real pleasure to be here to talk to you, even when I feel that sometimes I'm not able to explain you everything in detail that I might. So please, if there are some problems with my English, please ask immediately and we go back. I will be glad if we, at the end of our seminar, understand each other as much as is possible. And I start a little bit from the beginning about Český kousek. Here on the first picture I'm going to show you is the first written mention about our dogs, which we feel that they are ancestors of Český kousek. Canis bohemicus, dog from Bohemia. Bohemia is the previous name of my country. Until 1918, my country was part of monarchy, Austrian monarchy, and it was called Kingdom of Bohemia. And afterwards, it was changed to Czechoslovak Republic and now Czech Republic. So Canis bohemicus is the ancestor of Český kousek. And here they are really the first written report from 1340, it means that more than 6.5 centuries ago. In that time, noble families were not selling good hunting dogs, but giving as a present to some friends and to some other noble family. Therefore, it is written here that the King Charles IV presented to the Marquis of Brandenburg Ludwig 5 hounds known as Canis bohemicus for hunting pleasure. King Charles IV was our famous king who originated Charles University, built Charles Bridge and so on. He was also Roman Empire, and I think it was the greatest time of my country. How the dog looks like in the time. We have no other documentations, only this painting from the year 1700, and this we think that is Canis bohemicus, or ancestor of Český kousek. There is also discussion how wire-haired dogs become wire-haired. And one, I might say, scientific historical source thinks or said that wire-haired dogs becomes as a crossbreed between eastern sheepdog and hunting dogs in the middle of the Europe, the central of Europe. Some of the important data. In 1882, the first standard of Český kousek was formulated. It was description of the exterior and description of the hunting quality. In 1885, the first field trial for pointing dogs was organized in my country, in the Kingdom of Bohemia. And in that time, the best dogs were English pointers, German shorthairs, and Fawcett was not highly evaluated. Fawcett was a heavy dog, slower running dog. So later on in 1996, the the first club by hair pointing dogs called Český Kousek was founded with the aim to improve mainly hunting quality of the breed. 1824 is another, I think, the key point of the history. After the First World War, many good dogs simply disappeared. And when the First World was over, only few animals remained in the Kingdom of Bohemia. Therefore, club presented the aim to regenerate Český Kousek. And in that time, we have to also, I have to also say that because our country was a member of or part of the Austrian monarchy, official language was German, and Czech was simply language of the poor, uneducated people. Therefore, all the registers of puppies and animals are in German stud books, mainly in Austria. And the members of the club, they were looking over the stud books and traveling over Austria and Germany and looking for the animals which they thought that they are original Český Kousek and bred them together.
Were they listed in the German books as Koseks or as German Monarchs?
In that time, it was only by a head dog. By a head dog, come on, Kousek. And in 1963, the breed was finally formed and the standard was accepted by FCI after some year of the discussion, finally approved in 1964.
Who is FCI?
Federation of Kinology International.
And they do what? FCI does what?
FCI is an international, I might say, society or federation of kennel clubs from different countries. And they, at present, they recognize about 340 different breeds of dog.
USA is not a member of FCI.
USA is not. But FCI, Canadian Kennel Club, British Kennel Club, and American Kennel Club, they discussed a couple of years how to form the World Dog Organization. But there is a problem because the American Kennel Club probably recognized about 160 breeds, the same Canadian Kennel Club, and the British Kennel Club about 168, and FCI 340. And this is a little bit difficult to say we cut them to 160 to have the same number, because, you know, within FCI, this federation, every nature is responsible for national breed. And for instance, we have national breed Český Kousek and Český Terrier. And nobody within federation can say this is not a breed, because once in one point of history they said this is breed of Czech, and Czechs are responsible for the standard and for the point. And there is no matter of discussion about, for instance, changing something in standard. This is really matter of the national kennel club. In American Kennel Club, there is a discussion of or decision of majority of members. It is not an FCI.
Doctor, am I to understand then that the rough-coated stud book that was in German would include the Griffons, the wire-haired point, or the Drahthaar, would include the Stickelhaar if they had them in it, and so on?
You know, FCI was founded in 1923. And later on, they decided something like in 1931, 32, that every nature can present it natural breeds. So until that time, it was a mixture of the breeds. It was simply white-hair pointing dog, nothing else.
Thank you.
And how does the dog looks like? It's presented on this picture. This is a champion winning dog in the Vienna in 1903. You see that the dog is rather heavy. It is something between sheepdog and pointing dog or hunting dog. But still, in that time, they recognized this male as a champion, as the best or nicest dog of the show.
We're thankful it wasn't a Westminster show.
Now I slowly go to the point what I want to talk to. About 200 kilometers from Prague is the town or city Brno, the second largest city in my country. And it's called the city of dog shows and mental. The city Brno has special location. In the Middle Ages, the businessmen were going and trading the goods in this town where they were coming from north to east and north to south and east to west. And in this town, also great animal shows took place. And in 1936, there is also such a written report that there was big animal show. And winning animal was ram of the Count Verbena. Count is the lower degree of the noble family. And in 1936, Count Verbena asked Professor Nestler. Professor Nestler was the professor of agriculture and biology at the university. Following question: could you guarantee, Professor Nestler, that my winning ram will transfer his quality to his progeny? If you say yes, nobody can pay for it. If you say no, his price is equal to value of bones, meat, and wool. And I talk about this because this is a principle or philosophy of animal breeding, not only in Český Posek, but in animal breeding as general. And I want to point it out that it was said, such a question was asked 29 years before Mendel discovered Mendel's law of inheritance in 1965 here in Brno. This is the Mendel's museum and garden when he was present in or doing his experiment with peas. His museum is located something like 200-300 meters from the big fair where the dog shows are taking place. And I usually, when I speak to dog breeders, I usually ask the question if they are able at present, 170 years later, to think in the terms of the Count Verbena. Many dog breeders, they have a champion and they think that the breeding champion is the best. Should be. But the best, for instance, according to German philosophy, is to breed parents of the champion against to get the best results. Aristotle, great Greek philosopher, used to say that wave from the top of the mountain goes only down. So champion most of the time doesn't give the champion. But how to evaluate the quality of the dog, how to select dog for the breedings, this is a problem which we speak about all the time. Chesky Fawcett. Here is the picture. One of the very beautiful dog is almost fully conform to the standard. I want to point it out that the Fawcett has to have nice beard, nice head, this stop, ears not too long, perfect neck, well pronounced shoulder, perfect top line, tail sets in the level of top line, the carrying of tail should be also a little bit up. Perfect undulation of the front and high quarter leg, deep depth of the front thigh, well developed, depth should be until the elbow, perfect overcoat, well distributed over the body. This is just about ideal dog. But we also want to have good hunting dog in the field. This is what is presented here in this picture. And we want also to have a good hunting dog in the forest. This is dog which calls the master to the deer which the dog found out. And we want to have also good dog for the water work. What I'm showing in this picture. But what is important, we also want to have healthy dog. This is a picture of alopecia, which sometimes mainly in bloodline number 2, so often in chest deposit, and therefore bloodline number 2 becomes very, very low popular.
Is that a disease, alopecia? What is that? Is it like?
When the dog is losing winter coat on the spring, usually the summer coat grows at once. But alopecia is the disease when the dog loses the coat, and it takes sometimes a couple of weeks, sometimes 2-3 months, when the summer coat starts to grow. And in some old dogs, they look like little dogs which will never grow to the full coat, well distributed coat. And in 1978 we have started selection for alopecia. We have lost some very good quality dogs in respect of hunting quality, but we at present have alopecia occurrence on the level of about 3%.
Is that close to what we call thyroid problems, or is that different?
Yes, sure.
It is.
Yes.
Related to the thyroid.
I understand that it's probably the same. Yeah.
So it's not a communicable disease, it's a genetic predisposition.
Yes. You know, we think, I don't know if it is correct or not, the environmental condition changes. And sensitive animals or some environmental conditions are affected. And this is not only problem of chesky faucets. In our country, in Germany, in Denmark, I have seen a lot of wire dogs. It's the worst, I think, alopecia disease is in poodles. Because poodle is the animal is perfect coat. And alopecia in poodles causes a lot of trouble. Mainly in some communities with heavy pollution.
That's what I was talking. I was interested in pollution and wondering how far back in time was this disease noted and seen?
You know, nobody knows because many years ago or some years ago when the pollution was not so heavy, probably sensitive animals were put in the coat all the years through and simply they were bred and reproduced. There was developed some test in Holland for control of sensitive animals, but it doesn't work.
Okay. So then, most likely then it can't be tracked to a specific site in the gene and the.
I think, you know, something like 20 years ago, I came up with the philosophy. Is it good or bad for them? Everybody said bad. So if it is bad, select them out,
Yeah.
out of the breeding. And simply, it really helps a lot. When I talk about bloodlines, I want to show you how we designate one of our bloodlines. This is bloodline number 7, founded by one very good breeder. And I want to say only few remarks. This fellow in the time of 1940, 1950 was using very close inbreeding. Good working dog, and he inbred, for instance, father to granddaughter. And when he lost the temperament among the puppies, he just shoot them. And after few generations, it created this bloodline, number 7, which you could inbred as much as you could, and you never lost temperament. And it was such a good dog for training that when I talk to young hunters about dogs, and I advise them, if you want to have good dog for hunting, buy Chesky Posset from bloodline number 7, and what you have to do, just release from the leash and shoot. not the dog. And you know, dog does everything simply by itself. The dog was simply never, from the bloodline 7, never able to win the competition because it needs training, experience, and so on. But it was very good bloodline, very popular among the hunters. And we have simply last 10 years lost the bloodline number 7, almost lost, because everybody from abroad was going to buy good working dog of Chesky Posset and pay good money, and many people are ready to sell it, and now we have problems.
At what age did they call the shooting puppies if they didn't meet the standard?
You know, For instance, this is old practice of German breeders. For instance, they have all little puppies around the house, and at the age of 3-4 months, they take mother and puppies to the water, and the puppies which can follow the mother and swim correctly, they are okay, and the rest he should.
At 3 months.
3-4 months. But it's hard selection. But what I am going to tell, really good selection helps.
Yeah. Yep.
If you move.
Some of the representatives of our bloodline, this is a dog from bloodline number 1. Bloodline number 1 was very popular in our country. Some years ago, we did have 1/3 of the population of Český Kousek, which belongs to bloodline number 1. It was easy to train, good runners, perfect retrievers, and and quadratic dogs. Another representative of bloodline number 1 is this male. You see also perfect beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bloodline number 2 was founded after this male. The male was result crossbreeding of Český Kousek female, German short-haired point. They want to improve quality of the field.
Yep.
You see that
Yes.
the beard is not so long, not so numerous, and over the body the coat is not so wide. Later on, representative of bloodline number 2 is here. You see the overcoat, not so wide. But the dogs, they're perfect in the field, and who wants to win some championship or field trial, he was looking for Kouseks from bloodline number 2. But this bloodline was highly affected by alopecia. At present, we registered something like 6-8 liters of this bloodline per year because of alopecia, because people doesn't like it. Bloodline number 3. It was founder bloodline number 3. It's hard to see the head, but perfect overcoat without alopecia during all the history. But something like 20 years ago, maybe more, dogs were very slow runners. I used to describe that the dog of bloodline number 3 is for the old hunter. But now it improves. Mainly, you have very good males in your pedigrees, Alan Udite and Ajax
Yes,
Udite.
yes, yes.
They were the first males who simply shows that selection and improvement of bloodline number 3 gives a good result. They succeeded well in our universal tests. This is also representative of bloodline number 3, and you also have it back in pedigree in some of your dogs. Bloodline number 4. What is the bloodline of 8? Was founded sometimes in 1950s after crossbreeding of female from bloodline number 3 with German short-haired point. And one of the representatives is this dog, brown dog. Because they did it, we still have some puppies in the litters of bloodline number 4 with short hairs, not enough wire. But sometimes in this bloodline we have dogs like that. This is also 4. So variability is very, very large.
Yeah, yeah. John, you did send me a word. After all these years.
This fellow is a representative of bloodline number 5. Bloodline 5 and 6, they are not very numerous in our country, and they represent old style of Český Fousy. You can see the shape of the head, and so it's rather old style. But still, some of the dogs are very nice looking, very hair. And representative bloodline number 7 is this dog. This is what I told you, that any inbreeding doesn't affect the work. I remember that once we judged the dog from bloodline number 7, and during the field work, and it was autumn utility test, and they had to shoot pheasants and hares, and he shoot hare and dog retrieve it, no problem. And we said, okay, you don't have to shoot any more hare. When we finished the search in the field, which takes about 20 to 30 minutes, he didn't follow our wish, and he shot 12 hares. Because he was afraid that when he doesn't shoot the hare, the dog runs after. My first email in my life was also from bloodline number 7. And I told to some of you the story that the people from my hunting club always simply asked me to follow the honorary hunter. They shoot, for instance, in forest to the tree. And I said, abort, and she retrieved the hare. They were so eager to hunt and so pleasant to hunt and retrieve.
What was the foundation of the background dog for line number 7?
Yeah, it is with me. Let me,
No, what kind of dogs, which line did they come from, where did they?
you know, we start breed management with formation of bloodlines sometimes in 1960, maybe a little bit early in some cases. And before, it was no bloodline at all, simply by-hair dogs. And because variability within all the population was so great, we divided it or split it to subpopulations, which we call bloodlines. There are a group of somehow related dogs which distribute the same quality or the same or similar faults. And we want to select out the faults and keep the quality. So this is principle of line breeding.
Well, I guess what I was trying to get at was, you would use a male from, say, line 3 and a female short hair to make line 3 or 4, or whatever. What was used to start line 7?
Some dogs after the Second World War, which we have in our stock.
Okay.
from no establishment.
Yeah, I
Just like
think
selecting similar dogs with similar characteristics who came from no specific line. They were just where it pointed.
You know, when some male was really good of, or over the average of the population in respect of exterior or hunting quality or overcoat, something, he was the founder of bloodline only if he could give good progeny similar to his quality. And it was simply designation, first designation of bloodline, and then by certain inbreeding, we try to reproduce the quality of the founder of the original dog. That's easy, or much easy, when you found bloodline after male, because male gives a lot of progeny within a year. We try to found a bloodline number 6 after female, but female is limited by the number of puppies in a litter and by 1 or maybe 2 litters a year, and that's why the bloodline after females probably never progress. Breeding by bloodlines is has such an unwritten law. If we don't obtain quality of the original dog within first 5 generations, forget about line breeding within this group and rather spread the females and male to another bloodline. But how we evaluate males for the breeding by the quality of progeny, and how we can determine or guess that this male should be used for inbreeding within some lines. This is some kind of tricky thing what I want to explain. By exterior, we judge progeny of all the litters usually within month of April, all the progeny which was born previous year. So we have puppies from about 6 months until about 16 months of age. And we judge breed type, color, skeleton, set of teeth, bite, overcoat, temperament, height in shoulder, color of the eyes, beard, and force like entropium, ectropium, cryptorchium. And then we summarize the results. After the father who bred these mothers, these females, and we can see which female has 4 progeny, evaluating these females, 6, and so on. Afterwards, we give for every puppy affected by some fault, something like bad points, I might say. For instance, when the color of standard, color of overcoat is non-standard, we give 1,000 bad points. If we have, for instance, skeleton, strong and weak, we give 300 points for every weak skeleton of every puppy, and every puppy which was weak in skeleton, we give 500 points. And altogether it is 3,000 points in this case. Then these numbers are divided by number of puppies evaluated. And we receive something like average of bad points per puppy and per this particular male in in these exterior marks. And then we summarize the results over the population. And you see, this is the average of the population. And we can see that, for instance, this male, Sardeskerben, has all puppies within the time because he has no bad point. He has, in average, 21 bad points for the skeleton, but average of population is 95, so he is still over the population. And when we see here they are in order according to the number of average bad points, all the males. And he becomes male of the year, the best male in respect of exterior quality of the puppies. But for instance, this Sitzbuckler variable, you see, he has almost good results. No, because what is called good result. But here, in respect of the beer quality, he has much more bad points than is average of the population. So we say, be careful when you want to breed this male. Or breed this male only to the female with perfect, well-grown deer. Otherwise, you have very poor results. The same, for instance, this dog, Chuck Scrap. Also, you see, he has really bad results. And so we can calculate what we can expect and how we can choose the male for the female.
You do that for every male that you used during the preceding year for breeding?
We calculate these results from that we receive from the exterior control within the months of April.
But you do it for every male that you used during that year?
And you do it in April?
We have April as a month for evaluation of exterior quality of the puppies. And usually we have about 75, sometimes almost 80% of puppies evaluated within the month of April.
Is that due to that is when you'll find their coat will be the best? Depending on the year? No? No, it doesn't.
No.
I think what you're saying is that you do this evaluation from a standpoint, do you actually evaluate the dog during the month of April, or do you evaluate the data during the month of April?
No. We control exterior of puppies
Yeah.
born previous year, last year, within the month of April. And we summarize the results by fathers or sires and by mothers.
Is this a typical number of dogs, 220 or so? Is that a typical number of dogs? Am I reading that right, that there's about 200 puppies evaluated here?
No 200, no.
How many?
All the puppies. We have our production is about 500 puppies a year, so we usually have about 400 puppies in this group of evaluated states.
So how that's what we do is that you get all the dogs together for confirmation in April of every year, do solely confirmation judging for this table, and then you do your work or performance judging at another time.
Yeah.
It's not just breeding dogs, it's all dogs.
This is everything that was bred the year, born the year before.
80% of them, not.
Well,
Just about 6% of puppies is sold abroad.
Right.
Some of the puppies are sold to the person who are not interested about hunting, so they stay somewhere else.
So you're producing about 500 puppies a year.
Yeah, more or less.
Where are the people that buy those puppies?
Just directly at the breeder.
But there are enough really serious hunters that
We would like to sell the puppies only to hunters. But, you know, breeder is absolutely free to whom he is going to sell the puppy. So we cannot affect them.
You control who can breed though.
We have such a group of managers, 7 managers by 7 districts of our country, and they give to every breeder recommendation of 3 males, and he has choice out of 3 males.
But you have a qualification for females
Yeah,
as well, right? And they have to have utility testing.
yeah. And usually our advice follows such an unwritten law. For instance, when we run this evaluation for about 30 years, so we have enough of results. So we advise people when somebody has a young female, then he is going to breed her with some old male, which is approved in this test. Then we can little bit guess the genetic quality of the female. Or when the female is old, which gives 1 or 2, 3 liters of puppies, we advise the breeders to go with young male, just because we know the quality or guess the quality, genetic quality of female, and we would like to check out the genetic quality of the male.
I think for us, we don't have enough good people in this whole country so that we can't produce, we don't produce enough dogs.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
but what is probably also necessary to say, for instance, these 2 females bred by these males, you know, gives very aggressive puppies. So our conclusion is, don't breed by this male any sister or half sister of that female, and any sister and half sister of this female. And it works. Because usually sisters and half sisters share very similar
Yes.
genotype and genotypic quality. And when somebody doesn't follow our advice, most of the time has a bad or poor result.
What is your, on your temperament, you have a good temperament, fear, active, and aggressive?
Yeah.
What is active? What do you call
Oh,
active?
I said, I choose the wrong things. Aggressive, there is no aggressive. But for instance, irregular bite or level bite, you know.
What do you call an active temperament?
Active temperament is temperament which is eager to work and dog which doesn't follow too good commands of the master.
So, in your temperament, the only faults that you really are hit them up for is in fear and aggressive
Yes,
behavior.
yes, yes. And of course, the same is done with the work. But here we have only average number of points in all the disciplines we judge. And even when the results might be confusing about what I'm going to tell afterwards, you can still see, for instance, mouse quality. There are very great difference. This male has averaged only 4 points. This is the highest score of the quality of nose. But this male, 20 progeny was judged, and the quality of nose, the average is only 3.2. So, of course, if the dog has another favor to the population, we are not going to select it out of the breeding. But we have to be careful about the quality of the nose. And the same everything else. For instance, here, pointing, even when the results are not so different. But in searching, 3.8 to 2.7, there's a great difference. And if we can select such a males out of the population because we don't need their blood, we do that. When I mentioned that I'm going to say something more, there's this very confusing results in respect of genetics, repeatability and heritability of some disciplines of the bird measured by Finnish fellows on Spitz. And results were calculated on 28,000 field trials, of which enjoyed 5,666 dogs. Repeatability, for instance, in search code is on 0.08, and the coefficient of heritability means part of the genotype on this search code is on 0.5. It is very, very low. And if we respect these results, then I have to say that we do know how to judge this work of that dog today. But we don't know how to judge work from the genetic point of view. And we have done that for the population of Chesky Bossex, only 270 dogs which were judged twice or more times. Yeah. And I found out also such a very poor results as concerned repeatability.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So now what?
Shoot while you do it.
Shoot.
Dartboard.
But I am in my mind, it would be interesting to know what your results are.
Doctor, could you please say again what you mean by repeatability?
If you judge, for instance, dog, searching or pointing, one field trial, second field trial, third field trial, or test, natural, ability, intermediate, I don't know. Do you still, or does the dog still receive, for instance, 4 points every time?
It's the same dog.
Same dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
System.
Different judge.
So is it the dog or the judge?
Yes.
Judges are not allowed to read.
But nose and use of nose, it's like, as far as I understand, really genetically controlled discipline or prayer or point, but still repeatability point 13 is very, very low.
We can do that on check.
So,
Can't separate what the
if a dog is and nose, and it gets a 4 in nose 3 out of 4 times, then what is the repeatability of that?
If the dog is tested 4 times, are you convinced that 4 times we will see 4 in the nose quality is the best? Some dogs receive 3 times 4, once 3 points. Some will get 2 times 4, 2 times 3. I know that it is under different conditions,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
push, and
Yeah.
different judges, and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And this everything is repeatable. If the dog has perfect nose, it has to be judged by 4 points every time. Some of them are judged every time. 4. But if the dog has not a good nose, let's say, judged by 3 points, does receive 3 points every time. And all these results considerably affect the value of the repeatability. It becomes out only this result is very interesting and confusing.
What do you do with that? What do you, Dr. Stahl, do with that?
Nothing.
For example, if we took one dog, tested it 4 times, and it had 4 times a 4, the correlation would be a perfect 1.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And so if you would do the same dog and they get 4 twice and 3 once and 2 once, the correlation is 0.5 or less.
Thank you,
Correct?
John.
But when I said nothing, I rather trust this result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
So
okay,
that's where you have to have the numbers of judgments large enough to
Yeah.
reduce the error.
right,
It's the only thing we have. We have
Yeah.
nothing else.
yeah, that's right.
But here, if you, for instance, take 20 puppies judged by different judges under different conditions,
Yeah,
the conditions are probably as different as, for instance, here.
yeah,
When 10 puppies were in different field trials, and 11 puppies in different field trials judging by different guys.
yeah,
So these results are rather more valuable than the
Yeah.
results of a particular.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And you know, like, we have this on CD.
This, in check, it's in check. Oh. He gave me a book that's got all of this stuff, but it's all in check.
John, I've got that book too.
No, I have all the presentation on the CD
Perfect. Oh,
in
good.
PowerPoint, and that's why I asked you if you have PowerPoint, and you said yes.
Yeah, that's what PowerPoint is.
So you have
Fine.
all the tables and
Perfect.
figures.
Perfect.
Oh, so everything,
Okay. Break or not?
Yes, great.
Okay.
Great. So,
The church.
So,
yeah.
I just have to.
How long?
how much was it? 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
see the bloodline number 1 is only here in my minority. So in bloodline number 2, most of the females are bloodline number 3 and bloodline number 4. This is a still Griffon part of the pedigree.
Get right and see this.
What is G again?
Griffon.
Percent, oh, percent Griffon, okay, gotcha.
I gotta sit here, sorry folks, I have to see.
You're saying, one question for you, you're saying that 25 is the 25% of bloodline number 1.
What do you mean?
Yes.
I
Is that-
show you on the next pedigrees. You know, we calculated by the fourth generation of ancestors.
What is
It's calculated by the ancestry of the dogs that are in your pedigree, what line they came from.
What is percent of G?
So,
Griffon. Oh, Griffon, okay.
so 25% of it's line 1.
Yeah.
Just, thank you.
So the bottom
Ellie
dog,
Walker
number
falls at the top.
17,
Yeah.
has 50% of
Line 3.
Of line 3, okay. Okay, and those,
Ellie's
8
25%
through
of line 2.
about 13, up to 12, about 8 through 12, have 50% of line 3. Am I saying that correctly?
Sure.
Okay.
And 25% of line 4, except for number 10 left.
Yeah.
So the conclusion, that if I remember this right, then the predominant line determines which line these go into, that even though none of them is 100% of one line. So if you would say that these dogs that say 50% from line 3, these dogs are from line 3, if you were to classify the line.
Yeah, but
Sort of.
I
Show
show
you go
you,
further than that.
I show you a couple of pedigrees, our dogs, and you will understand better
Okay,
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
okay.
One male which gives very good quality of progeny is North bloodline number 1. And his pedigree looks like that. Look. This is all bloodline number 1 except here 25% of bloodline number 5.
Wait a minute.
Got one more.
Explain up on top there, which, the 37, 25, 12, and 20, 25.
I have to say that this is mistake.
No, I didn't know that was a mistake.
It looked weird when he was saying over here, line 1. Yeah.
So if you would put the right percentages up there, it would be 75, 25?
Yeah, 75%. And for instance, next brown one. You don't have brown faucets in your land.
No.
We have about 30% of the population.
Yes,
Look, this is pedigree. You see? 75% of bloodline 1
ah, yeah.
and 25% of bloodline 9. And I have to say that bloodline number 9 was separated from bloodline number 1, so even that
Oh,
the bloodlines are very closely related.
yeah.
And this dog is the result of inbreeding to Larry,
Uh-huh.
very close inbreeding,
That one.
and to Don.
Mhm.
Both of them were approved as very good quality hunting dogs. This dog was owned by a very old club member, almost 80 years, and still he succeeded perfectly in our universal test with perfect results.
Oh,
What does the
Lines-
black dots mean?
Call your attention to it.
it's just,
What?
the black dots in front of Don.
This
Yes.
only for better orientation, that these
Show you
two
cut off.
dogs is the same dog.
Okay.
It is inbreeding for Don and inbreeding for Larry.
It's like when I draw the arrows.
Yeah.
See, you want to finish a long line, right?
Oh, just take it back.
And I have to say that
Who are they breeding it to now? Any line, or are they still breeding in line one basically?
I don't understand your question.
What dogs are they using him on as a stud?
Me?
No, him. Yeah.
Oh, Abarzecznik, far back.
This is a long, long time ago. It's just an example. Yeah.
But I have to say one more thing. You look to the dog. Brown is not really wire overcoat. The same goes Larry. Brown is not really wire overcoat. This is so inbreeding brings some kind of reproduction, the same quality as the dog to which we inbred.
Both good and bad.
Both good and bad.
Is there any relationship with Becky?
Remember
Becky?
Really
Yeah, she was.
very good dog. Perfect dog. Dog which is really eager to hunt. And his pedigree, you see, mother is Flora,
Ah,
and still inbreeding to Don. And I just I do present this pedigree because you know Flora,
Yeah.
and you have bad experience with the first litter and so. But you know, high score in our university test is 500 points, and he got 488. So it is
Yeah.
very, very high score.
And who was the sire here with Flora? That's,
So
okay. Yeah,
Yarn.
I see.
I showed you. Moment, please. Sir. This Tsar is dead dog. You see?
Yeah,
The dog of the year.
yeah, yeah.
Could you put that pedigree back up for Charlie?
Okay.
No. No.
No.
That's not it.
Hmm?
No, I think she's got four noses up. What do you get in water?
A water?
Yeah.
This is here.
Two.
Ah,
Uh-huh. We need fours.
We do too. Another brown male, but man is not extensively used because of this pedigree. Here is designation of alopecia. These ancestors were affected and selected out because of alopecia. So when we have such a designation, and when we are sure that this dog was affected by alopecia, we also know that his daughter is a carrier of the gene.
Yeah.
Both of his parents, if they are not affected, they are carrier of the gene. And so we can use this information for designation of a gene in any other pedigrees where these dogs and ancestors occur.
At what age did alopecia usually show up in dogs?
Usually at the age of 5 or 6 years. That means the dog gives certain number of progeny. And then it is very hard to say all the progeny is out of the reproduction.
And the characteristics are they just lose their hair in the springtime, but it comes back, right? It takes some weeks or a couple of months, and it's patches that come out, right? I don't know whether we've got that here, do we? I've seen it. Have we seen that?
What about hot spots? Do you have a lot of hot spots in your kennel? Hot spots where the sores, many times irritation, itching, allergy kind of things, but they develop into a hot spot, which is a weeping, irritated sore. Well, in this room, there'll be people who will confuse what you're talking about with a summertime hotspot. And so you need to sort that out. And also, I don't recall whether you said that the pronounce it for me? Alopecia. That has been determined to be a thyroid condition now. So don't look at the skin as the problem. The problem isn't the skin. The problem is a reduced thyroid count.
Which you can test.
Pardon me?
Which you can test.
Yes, there's two different tests. They can give it a finite amount. And Boss had it and was treated for the last half of his life.
And people are not interested to have a dog which needs medicines every spring or every time by time going to the veterinarian. Everybody wants to have a healthy dog with ability to work every time. Then I found out that I need a dog.
Yeah. Perfect with all fours.
And our philosophy, or how we do that, if something is not good for us, let's select it out. Don't wait until someone will find out if it is genetically controlled and how many genes are involved and so on. Select it out.
Exactly.
That's the best.
And sometimes you'll be wrong, but you're better off if you're wrong.
Yeah. If somebody said, oh, this is not an inherited problem, and breed the dog with certain problems. Later on, 3-4 generations, nobody knows what the unfavorable gene comes from.
Right.
And if you decide, select it out, maybe it is not inherited. You make harm to the owner of the dog which you have selected out. But you did it to one person, not to population.
This is very, very important.
another nice male, stuff.
What's a nice looking man?
He has such a pedigree. And look, he is the result of the mixture of 4 lines, 4 lines. And still this dog is very good and
Four and water.
but point in 3.
And nose, once a 3 and once a 4.
Nose, 3 times 4.
3 times 4?
4 times it was 4, or 3 times it was 4.
Oh, that's what that means? 3 times so four. Oh, okay.
And 3
Now,
tests,
Three tests?
and all judge.
Right, 4.
Good repeatability.
Yes.
But now, when you have this situation, where the dog is a mixture of 4 lines, what are the chances that the characteristics, the phenotype, is repeatable using this dog for breeding? Is it
In
less than
such a
this one?
case, we are looking for a female, for instance, who has in pedigree this male, because we know that it was one of the very good male, and we make simply some portion, some part of inbreeding to this male.
I think what Jim is asking, and this is a relevant question for breeding, is do you get greater repeatability of the phenotypes when you're dealing with a dog that has a high percentage from one bloodline or someone that is somewhat more equally mixed from 4 bloodlines?
In such a case, you can expect within 1 liter as large variability as we have in whole population.
So standard Mendelian genetics.
Overgrown, so small,
It'll be a just.
red line,
So you can predict
different temperament, different or overgrown.
Dr. Driscoll, will you be making some recommendations to us then as to what we should do today during the judge's seminar?
Probably, I don't know.
Yes.
You might.
Breed best to best.
Yeah. I show you this pedigree. This is even worse. See? It needs inbreeding. To none of these dogs. Something here.
But you can
Probably this dog is the best.
What is the top right? You have 4, 4, 4, 4, 2. What's that category?
This is obedience.
Obedience?
Judge twice in universal test, and you see, this is universal test and this is memorial. And this is field, water, and forest. Field, water, and forest.
What about under nose?
Repeatability wrong. You know, wrong repeatability. Poor repeatability.
4 for one category only.
Yes.
Good for 2 categories. So, and if I read that correctly, with a nose, twice he got a 3, and 3 times he got a 4. And twice in the water he got 4.
And pointing 4 and 3. This is the killing of cat.
Killing of cat.
What do you get? That's okay over here.
This dog is from bloodline number 3. But look over the pages. From the bloodline number 4, this fellow was selected out for alopecia.
I don't know, that too.
Yeah.
breeding,
Yeah.
to breed alarms. You have alarm number of locations.
Is that in Dan? Jim?
Dogs which are
Did that too,
completely
is in
free
Dan?
of alopecia.
Yeah, there's quite a few dogs.
Did it to us free.
We also have Ajax, right?
Ajax, well, that one's Ajax.
Right.
This mate is also bloodline number 4. And you see, not perfect wire overcoat. Some did, it's okay, but overcoat is not perfectly wire. And the pedigree, you see, here, dog which was selected out from, because of our alopecia.
Oh,
And even this is wrong to this dog was inbreeding fly.
yeah.
So we are not too much interested about using this dog for the breeding.
Yeah. This is what I have shown you already. Sorry. This is the pedigree of the dog. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of it. It's nice, good dog. You see, the pedigree is good in respect of our kids. Only this dog was selected out. It's 4th generation. And it has some dogs, ancestors, which are in your pedigree. Along with BK2. Eric or Desiree. Eric. Greg, yeah. So I think this male should be eventually used for breeding for segregation. For us. Yeah.
What does the 1 L mean? The 2 L's is alopecia, remember?
Career affected.
One's got a carrier and one it shows up in, it exhibits the symptoms.
Double L is they're throwing out too.
Yeah. But John.
Yeah. Yeah, can't use it.
No, seriously.
Seriously.
Seriously. Yeah. No.
This is dog from bloodline number 2. Perfect dog. You see?
Yeah.
The hair.
Kagan and Hella. Kagan. And Dar, they're all in our line somewhere. Kagan and.
Is that the same Kagan?
Param is Hello?
No,
I don't
Kagan.
think that's not the same.
Is that the same Kagan?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
is that the Kagan that we?
Yes, so that Dar, Zealot, where's Dan? Isn't that Dan?
No.
She's not related. Okay.
But the dog has the best fear on the outdoor test.
The best what?
Best field work.
That's field work?
This is characteristic of bloodline number 2. But at present, he gets only 1 liter, so he is not extensively used. This is very nice dog. As a respect of work, this is the dog of the last year, male of the last year, best result on all the tests. pedigree, look like that. Look, so many inbreeding. Only 2 generations. Blessed,
Yeah.
born, and Dera. These are sisters from the same litter. And Bor, Zoloshki, was, I think, one of our historical male, because he was inter-champion of beauty and reserve champion of work as well. And the owner, who is also the breeder of, and owner of Flora and so, he used it for tracking of boar, pig, and the dog runs over the freeway and the car kills it. So he lost it when the dog was about 5.5 years old. But he did have 2 of his brothers, Brit and Bren, and we found out the bloodline, new bloodline number 10 from these 3 brothers. And it is very good bloodline. The dogs are easy to train, perfect work in the field. So within a short time, 5-6 years, we have over 20% of our males selected for the further breeding out of bloodline number 10.
Wow.
See that grip leads to our
You know, still, if the dog is approved, you have here 10 years, which is also probably in some of your pedigrees.
Would that be a Dan
or if not, son of Alan Oistik.
Yeah.
So, this dog should be used for your insemination.
So this dog, the name that's up at the top, way up at the top? This dog, yes, okay.
Now, what are the results of his use so far? Have you been successful with sire?
He was selected last year. He
we
is
don't know yet.
just first progeny, first litter, which is I don't know, 6 or 7 old.
So we'll see.
It's better to see. And last thing what I am going to show you, that everything what I said so far is because of that. This is to select right male to breed right female.
That's all the solution everywhere, isn't it?
Thank you for your attention.
One question. Could you explain to the group what you explained to me about semen collecting and when to use it, when not to use it, for when we collect semen and store it?
Yeah. You know, Chesty Posset is a medium size of dog which gives after double collection the time between first and second semen collection is about 1 hour, 1.5 hours. The semen of good quality is in amount of between 20 and 30 pairs. That's such a straw. For one insemination, we need 4 pairs. If someone wants to re-inseminate, it needs 8 pairs. So, one collection of the semen is enough for, let's say, at least 2 or 3 females for the insemination. The results of the inseminations are the same like at the natural way of breeding, sometimes even better because semen is checked if the spermatozoa are live, if the concentration is proper, and so on. And semen frozen to the temperature of liquid nitrogen, that is 192 centigrade, below zero, can stay in container under such a temperature for many years. Nobody knows how many. All this semen is probably 20 years stored. So I think that it's a very good way.
However, what he did say before was that be careful, because if we save semen in 20 years down the road, we use this semen from 20 years ago, we may step back 20 years.
Yes, that's
in
right.
quality. Because if we're doing our job,
Yeah.
we grow.
But semen collection and storage for so many years has sense only when the male is approved that give really good quality of progeny. That male is not affected by any inherited disease. That the male is not carrier of the gene for some diseases and so on. Simply to have as much of information as we are able to have. Then such a male is certain kind of improvement of the future generation because the male should be used, for instance, for the insemination of granddaughters or grand-granddaughters in breeding and reproduce quality of his genotype by that way. For instance, in France, Society Centrale, they have such an arrangement and they have a perfect dog in respect of exterior quality and working quality. They ask the owner to collect the semen for the semen bank. And then male is used for the reproduction of natural males which are not able to reproduce by natural males, have no sense to store the semen because the number of reproductive problems, maybe 1/3, are inherited. So, I can tell just through it away. When they evaluate quality of progeny and they found out that progeny is poor quality, they took the semen from the bank and threw it away. Only semen of the best males stays in the bank, ready for the use in the future.
Benefits we traveled with them. I kept asking questions.
Does that work also with the female? If you're having trouble breeding the female?
Yes, if you have trouble with the natural way of breeding, female don't use insemination. Because you might reproduce problems, reproductive problems. The same, for instance, if you know the breed of cattle, Blue Belgian. Blue Belgian, perfect beef cattle, top quality, meat for the kings. You know, but this breed cannot be reproduced without help of veterinary.
What has been your success percentage-wise with AI?
Just comparable to the natural way. And I said even better, for instance, you control at least quality of semen. And when the insemination is done by veterinary, it controls that everything is correct in the reproduction tract of the female. So you have even better chance.
The AIs that you're doing, are they implantations or are they or vaginal insemination?
Yes.
Yeah. In Norway, they developed catheters, Three different size for small size dog, medium, and large size dog, and they inseminate semen to the uterus over the neck with no problem.
That through surgery or through the vaginal opening?
Through vaginal,
Through vaginal.
through the neck, vaginal neck.
The AI thing they do around here is just a long old rubber hose. That's the way it used to be done.
Or surgical implant?
Oh, yeah,
But I understood you to say that you do a second breeding with double the straws.
No,
No,
the same.
Same number of straws.
Number of,
So if you do a second breeding, you just use 8 straws instead of 4 the first two.
four for the first time, and four for the second
Four
time,
and four.
altogether is 8.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's what I-
And sometimes you have a much better results as far as the number of puppies.
We have not had good success with vaginal insemination in the study with our.
But, you know, there has to be a progesterone test done by some laboratory, and you have to find out the big progesterone test
Well, even,
to correct.
we even did with blood tests daily to find out exactly when ovulation was, and then you've got the 48-hour, you know, where they're viable, the eggs. And, but that was the old, we used to have a, oh, yeah, but I think the one that,
Yeah, and if you have a female which gives you 2-3 liters, you might know her just exactly when it starts, when you are successful in mating.
Dr. DeSalle, you said that if a female is having difficulties being bred naturally, you should use AI.
No.
Is that what you say?
No.
You were talking about problems later on in the Belgian cattle and so
Yeah.
forth?
Yeah.
Okay, clarify that, what?
He's just stated that, he said, yes, no, you shouldn't breed her at all. You should not.
Okay, so
Every dog should breed naturally, and if they've bred naturally once, then AI is okay.
that's what I wanted to,
Yes.
yes,
That's what he
okay,
said.
I want that clarified.
I try to say that otherwise you might have such a problem like this.
Okay, I'm with you, I didn't hear the first time naturally in the conversation.
You know, when we talk about males, you can collect semen even before he make some females. But don't use it
Yeah.
after male is approved, able to reproduce by the children.
So what he's saying is you can collect a bank of semen before the dog is taken. And then from all the males you're gonna do, you wanna do that. And then the ones that prove themselves to be good, in other words, producing good progeny, then you use that semen. If they don't, you throw it away.
if they can't reproduce naturally, you chuck it.
Because the advantage of that, I think, is this right, is that in the early years, they produce a better quality
Yes.
semen, in other words, in terms of numbers of sperm
Yeah.
activity and all those things. So you don't wait until they've proven themselves to collect, because if you do, they may not be particularly active anymore. And I think that's the reason. for
Yeah.
that.
One of the things that went within this same conversation was the fact that if the female will not accept the male, don't be afraid to get that female to the doctor, to the vet, and find out if there is a cyst or there's something that is really causing it other than that she's just not going to make it.
Now, how many times are typical females bred in Czechoslovakia that are chosen for breeding?
They have a regulation that female should be bred, she not bred, she can have only 1 liter per year. It doesn't matter which part of the year, you should have a liter on the autumn and you should have the next liter in spring, but once within the year. And I did have a female which gives me 8 liters of puppies.
Oh, my word.
Once, only one. But it is not usual. She was good. She died when she was 14 years
She
old.
lived to 14, started
Yeah, and she was perfect hunter.
rigorous stuff.
Do you have some ages of males that, if they're a certain age, you will not collect sperm from it any longer? Do you have ages for females that at this age and from then on you will not breed them?
No.
So you breed females at 9 and 10?
At 9 and 10 we breed female only when veterinarian gives certificate that female is in good physical condition.
And what about collection of sperm from males? What, do you have a maximum age?
We have collected semen from German short-hair pointer at the age of 13 years, and still it was good. Because, it was such a curious situation. We had done this artificial insemination, and the male was so old, beautiful male, but so old, 13 years old. And the owner said, please try. So we did. And it was good.
That's unusual, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is rather unusual. The best age for collecting, the best quality of semen from the male is between 4 and 6 years.
You were talking earlier about the breeder, I might have been the breeder Eric, I'm not sure, who kept all his puppies till they were 3 or 4 months old and then took them out, and the ones that swam after the mother he kept, and the other ones that didn't he shot?
No,
No.
not that many.
Okay, but somebody.
Yes.
That's, we call that culling, to cull.
C-U-L-L, cull.
It's
Cull,
like
cull,
taking the
eliminate.
bad pieces of fruit out of a barrel or, yeah, okay.
Not easy.
Usually we use injection.
But
No, she's saying we call the when we
the process.
take those out, we
Yeah.
call that culling.
Yeah.
I think of the way that we do that is when we test the whole litter natural ability, then depending on the outcome, we may tell the owners that they need to neuter their dog, and so the whole litter is neutered, so they can't breed, they can't reproduce. So we have put them out of the breeding pool. That's the same thing as at 3 or 4 months old. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's a little different, Joe. They do not cull the whole litter.
Just some.
They only cull the non-swimmers.
I know.
Yeah,
I
so
know.
if we could do the same thing by simply, is if we had in natural ability,
yeah, I know.
and we have a non-swimmer,
Yeah,
that they're not considered for breeding at all anymore.
yeah, I
That'd be
know.
a similar
Yeah.
way to do that.
Well, most of the time, we choose 1 or 2 dogs from a litter, if that, to breed. And the rest of the dogs, we don't require that they neuter them, but they are not given a certificate that they're breedable.
Yeah. But, you know, we have a little vegetarian organization. We simply do believe that pedigree is only the document about ancestors
Yeah.
and not about quality.
Yeah. Yes.
And in this respect, you know, some guys are trying to go around the log. Not from Český Fawcett, but for instance from Alaskan Malamutes, from bloodhounds in our country and so on. They import semen of Alaskan Malamutes from Canada, top winner of something.
Oh, yeah.
So they pay a tremendous sum of the money. They use it for the insemination of the female but they are not sure if they have enough of puppies. Therefore, they have a male in their stock, and they use rebreed the female during the same heat by the male. Like they all male, even poor quality. And then they have litter of 10 puppies, I might say, with good pedigree and good money. So we have come out with the test of DNA and test of protein polymers to control if everything is okay. And that's why we, for instance, for test of DNA analysis, keep the straw with the rest of spermatozoa in it until we are sure that all the puppies are after the male which was used for the insemination. And if there are some problems, the breeders lost the kennel name and cannot breed any purebred dog. So it is some kind of very hard control. And even though, still some people try to do it together.
Beat the system.
If we are not sure about the origin of the puppies, all the calculation has no sense.
Would you explain what the Deutsch Radar Club in Germany was trying to do about bringing in the Fosage? Are you willing to explain that?
This is only for secret information.
They won't leave us.
You know,
We promise not to tell.
it goes back to what I said at the beginning. You know, we have 340 breeds within FCI. And that's the same what I said in the morning. When someone gives me 10 by hair pointing dogs, ask me which one is German by hair, which one is Chesky Posek, if I can say for sure. I said, yes, 100% by pedigree. The difference between some of these breeds is very, very small. Once I judge in France and I ask what is different between French short-hair pointer and German short-hair pointer. And I was told that 2 centimeters in shoulder. But this is the situation within FCI countries. And in Germany, I have never found out any registration of litters of Chesky Posek, even when we export number of dogs to Germany. Going after the information, and I run to a very good friend itself. The Canadian Kennel Club doesn't recognize Chesky Posek as a breed, and re-register every Chesky Posek to German by a hair pointer. So we buy Chesky Posek from a country of good quality, send the pedigree to Canadian Kennel Club, they re-register it and send and mail the pedigree back, and we have good animal for our breeding stuff. So this is the situation within our country. Someone argued that, for instance, you crossbreed Griffon and Chesky Posek. I think it's no argument, because all white-haired pointing dogs are something like a variety of one white-haired pointing dog breed.
Would you tell them you should use like an old male or young female?
This is what I said.
But young and old.
How old and how young?
No, when we're in the breeding program, you try to use an older proven male with an unproven female.
Yes. This is what I said.
And the other way around, yeah.
You got to You know, I might, you bring it to my mind. Some breeders do some mistakes, very serious mistakes. For instance, when the female has too short coat, they are looking for the male with very rather longer.
Yeah.
This is a great mistake.
Yeah.
Every form should be simply corrected by perfect development of what you are looking for. So, short coat only by perfect coat, less beard, perfect beard, and so on. Weak construction by skeleton by perfect skeleton, and so on. Never on the opposite, because then you have very large variability. And in such cases, I usually present the results from your country in poodles. I ran to this information, I think, 15 years ago. When you breed poodle with short nose, with the poodle with long nose, you can have inherited puppies with undershot, overshot, with long nose and short nose. But never correct. Because upper jaw and lower jaw are separately inherited.
Is that where oversight and underside
Yeah,
come?
or long or short.
What are your recommendations? Maybe you haven't even thought through this yet, Dr. Distal, but taking a look at our production, 46 pups last year, 27 the year before, should we be thinking of 2 or 3 lines or 1 line, or you know, we've got to start heading somewhere. Where would you recommend we begin?
You know, we talk about car also.
But I wasn't in the car with you.
I would, at this moment, I would rather forget about line breeding. You know, I think some part of inbreeding is absolutely necessary. But how I said, only inbred to those males which are quite convinced that they are good. They have good genotype, good genetic quality. And if your population of animals will grow up, you can probably divide it into the western population and eastern population and apply something like light breeding within these 2 lines. And then maybe to 3 or 4. Line breeding is only organization. It is not a dogma. You know, selection for so many different exterior markers and so many disciplines of works within all the population, which is big, has no sense. It's no selection. But big population, from the organization point of the breeding, is spread to subpopulation, which are called bloodlines. Related dogs which have, for instance, similar favor and similar faults. And then you have applied selection within bloodline, and then you can cross bloodlines, 2 bloodlines between one between the other, to improve quality of both. One has good exterior and one has good field work. Okay, let's crossbreed them together and run the selection for best exterior and field.
What I'm hearing then, based on what you said earlier, was that most of our dogs have a lot of bloodline 3 and 4 or Fosix. And so probably we should stay with that as far as imported semen from Czechoslovakia. But maybe once in a while, something from outside where we have a problem like water or whatever the case may be, where we want to make a change. I'm just summarizing. And then the other thing that I'm hearing is that basically when we breed our dogs, we need to take a look at multiple litters. If we can, from a female, 1 litter per female is not going to be enough to do anything, and that may be something that we need to be talking about, at least so people know they get females, that, you know, we want more than 1 litter out of you, because we need it in order to do anything here. Am I hearing correctly?
Yeah.
Because that first time, we've got to try and do it naturally, then after that, we can use AI and try and get somewhere. The third thing I hear is that we need to start doing some line breeding. We need to start breeding where we have strengths closer together. We haven't been willing to take much risk there yet, I don't think. To solidify, to cut back the variability that we're getting in litters and so forth. Did I hear that correctly or not?
Yeah, but you know, for the female you have in stock, I would select the males which has among the young sisters some very good quality males which you have in pedigrees of your female, without too much of care if the male belongs rather to bloodline 1 or bloodline 7. But to have something to inbred for.
We need to stamp characteristics. Yeah.
I think probably out of necessity rather than necessarily selection. If you look at our pedigree, you will find, for example, Ava in most of our dogs. And then you'll find now Dan on both sides. So I mean, we are inbreeding some. A lot. Almost to the point where it scares me a little bit. Because we're getting too close and we get to the point where if we make another selection, our coefficient of inbreeding may be too high. And that's one of the things that's calculated. And Dr. Desdal is going to do some of that for us, to help us with it.
But you know, in our country, when we did have problems with alopecia, I think we started really thinking about heart selection in 1978. We decided to involve blood of bloodline number 3 to all the other bloodline ones and select out of these little females for the reproduction and breed them with the male from the original bloodline. What I'm trying to say, mother from bloodline number 2 was bred by male from bloodline number 3. From the litter, we selected female and back bred by male from bloodline number 2, just to involve good quality of the coat and try to improve the population of bloodline number 2. With quite a good result.
Because that's the problem you have with inline number 2.
So you try to use it once, and then you go back to your original.
Yes.
See, now, with their infusion of all this AI program, we've got the option to all of these lines. You have to really have developing lines.
The key is having enough females that have been bred naturally to have some flexibility in choice. I mean, people willing to have a second and a third litter, that's really important, you know. Right.
But you know, in the respect of the breeding management within small population, I am rather for small litters. Let's say 4 puppies are much better than 8 puppies. because when you imagine that you need production of 50 puppies a year, it's better to have 50 puppies from 10 liters or 12 liters than from, no, 6 liters. You still have large genetic variability, and you still have later on choice for breeding. And every litter, or rather to say by such a bird, never bred female by the same male for the second time. Then you keep genetic variability wild, and you still have chance later on to breed the progeny together.
Now we don't have to do that anymore.
Never do repeat breeding.
Why not?
Because we have the semen available from your male. Beforehand, we a lot of times didn't have much of a choice.
Good for us.
Good for us.
Okay, good for both of us.
It seems to me then that based on putting all this together, maybe, and this is going to be very hard to even talk about, maybe we need to have something sooner than natural ability to cull. If we're going to start doing this and really looking at rapid improvement. And how? I don't have an answer here. I'm just throwing out a
You
thought.
can't do it in America.
It's an educated breeder, that's all you can deal with here.
You can't do it in America.
Educated.
I can just see Glenn Lara. He's got a litter of 8 puppies in 2 years from now, possibly. He's gotta kill someone.
That's one of the toughest things you'll ever do in your
You're
life.
not gonna do it, Glenn.
Well, I'm not saying I am. I'm just asking the question. I'm trying to follow logic and see if there's ways we can adapt.
But Glenn, if we eliminate those dogs from even consideration after the natural ability test, and they're going to be hunting dogs, the end result's the same.
That's what I said a little while ago, and that's what we've always done.
Cold is gonna kill.
What we're doing is the same deal. If we don't need 40 puppies and you get 4 litters with 10 puppies, you know, we're trapped.
You know? And that's the point I was driving at by what I was trying to say, that we have 50 good owners, you know, that's one of our 50 good handlers, and we have 4 or 5 litters, only with 8 or 10 pups. That handles it, and we can't have any more. And, you know, that's the problem.
Dr. Dossel, there was one of the things that we talked about that was real interesting. You mentioned about the influence the mother has over the puppies.
Yes.
Would you explain that?
Yeah, this is a discussion. Genetic quality of mother influence more puppies or not. The truth is, both parents, they give half original love to the puppies. It's half, nothing else. But mother affects the early stage of mental development of the puppies. And I can give you a couple of examples. For instance, I breed also doghounds, badger dog. If the mother with puppies at about age of 5 weeks goes through the hall and puppies follow the mother, they are perfect badger dogs because they learn in the age of 4 or 5 weeks that dog is nothing to be worried about and so on. If you have litter of puppies and mother is, for instance, scared when the thunderstorm comes, puppies learns to be scared.
Yeah.
If the mother goes to the water and swims and puppies follow, they are perfect swimmers. So this is the how to call it, imprint imprint in very young age of the puppy. And it has nothing to do with genotypic quality.
And that's a lot of what Ed was telling us in his
Reinforcement.
Environment.
And the breeder, the owner of the mother dog, influences that as well. The breeder giving the mother the opportunity to do those things.
Yes,
Like
sure.
the breeder taking the dog to the tunnel, or the breeder taking the dog and the puppies to the water, like John Pitlow and Gary Poole and Glenn Merrick.
One of our weaknesses within our whole organization is that many of our people are dog owners and not breeders. They become breeders by force. And so that don't make them good breeders, that just makes them dog owners who just happen to have litter dog pups.
Education takes care of that, shouldn't it?
Well, education would help that.
Yeah.
But that's what Joan's tried to do, and, you know, she's got to be commended for that, as far as coaches, breeders, and things like that, and it makes sense. It makes sense.
Certainly, you can divide it into the breeders and producers of puppies. But for instance, some breeders of Chesky Fawcett in our country, when the puppies are, let's say, 6 weeks, easy to walk, playing, they take a live chicken and give her to the backyard, let mother retrieve the chicken. And they are so eager to play with the live chicken and so eager to work and retrieve later on.
Okay.
Because they were learned in such a very young age that this is good and everybody simply, the breeder is happy about it. So
That's a great idea. We got something else, breeders.
Remember that chicken? Sweet milk.
Okay, Rick.
This is something that the pups have to learn from their mother though, because they imprinted on their mother when they were born. Therefore, their initial influence is from their mother, and it can't be done by the breeder. Is that correct?
No,
The
not
mother has to
entirely,
give
Harvey.
the initial indoctrination to an activity before the pups will actually buy into it.
It's all connected and you can't separate it out. The breeder is influencing the mother
Well,
dog
that's what I said,
all
but
the
I'm
time.
talking about the puppies getting the initial experience
Well,
through
the
the
puppies
mother.
are being influenced by the breeder and the mother from the day they're born.
Well, he spoke about the swimming tricks. They have to learn it from their mother. Well, there's,
Sometimes the breeder's swimming along too.
well, I
It can
know,
be expanded
but
from.
they haven't imprinted on the breeder.
Well,
They've imprinted
well,
on their mother.
imprinting is an improper word to be using, like, we're using it as an overall thing. Imprinting is a much more specific thing, like the geese with Conrad Lorenz, and we're kind of oversimplifying that.
Well, no, I'm along the same
But
lines.
the
I understand
influence
it the same way.
is by the mother dog, especially in the very beginning, even before they're born. And the breeder is influencing, the breeder's mixed in there with it. You can't, I think you can't separate it out.
The breeder allowing the female to do the.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
The breeder's gotta provide opportunities
Yeah.
for the female
Yeah.
to expose the pups to different types of
Right.
things that are important.
And like, if the chickens, as Dr. Dusdell said, the mother dog, is having fun, catching the chicken and everything, but the breeder is there too, and conveying to the puppies, this is great. It isn't just the mother dog, the breeder is conveying this too.
And I think where he's at is he's thinking it's just strictly with the mother.
Yeah, but
This can be enhanced with the
Right.
owner, or, or another dog. If you have another dog and you take it out and release that chicken and that other dog starts chasing after it, having fun, the puppy will learn from that too.
Oh,
It's
sure.
not just strictly the mother.
yeah.
Okay, I just.
It's a
wondered-
continuation.
I just wondered about, how much of the initial indoctrination in the hunting situations has to come from the mother.
Oh, most of it.
It's very, it's very.
The more the
Yeah, I
better.
would think most of it,
The more the better.
Sure.
yeah.
Because we don't know enough about how to hunt to show them anything.
We
Speak for
follow
yourself,
them, they don't follow us.
You mentioned 5 weeks swimming.
Yeah,
Is that, normally, I've tried to get the pups into the water about 8, 9 weeks.
yes, sure.
Because of cold and a lot of other things where we live. Is there some perfect week or a set of weeks there, or what?
You know, in January, nobody goes to cut the eyes and to let the puppies swim, but if the litter is in proper weather, so you can try.
5 weeks? Have to put a
But,
heater in the water.
As long as you don't force them.
Right.
No,
This is an exposure thing, it's not training.
yeah. And in Holland, in a flat coat retriever club, they developed such a system testing genetic quality of the puppies.
Oh,
For instance, they made from the wood such a circle and put the puppy inside
In a maze.
and call it back out and measure the time when the puppy reached the end. They right away put it inside again and measure the time when the puppies come again. And the puppy, which has the best learning ability, is for the second time very fast out. And they believe that it has certain sense, and I think
yeah,
that it has certain
yeah.
sense. Or they come to the puppy and open the umbrella in the puppy's skirts. It's not good mentally. And the puppy comes and smells what is open and try to chew it. It's good character. And they have such a test
Yeah.
about 9 disciplines, and they tested puppies exactly at the age of 7 weeks. And they compare these results with the later on the results of the test in the field and so on. That there is a good relation. And they can say to the breeder, this puppy is good for the hunter, this puppy is good for the gouge.
That's like, that's a puppy aptitude test that the physician can do. It's about 8 different things. Retrieving and a stranger, and the puppy goes up, back to the corner, and they put it on a 1 to 4 thing, what the puppy, how the puppy reacts. So there's a scale of whether it's got a lot of fold, or shy, or developed curves.
Best things might be for the future, when the puppy is young age, just to take a drop of blood, make analysis of DNA and say, this is clever and this is dumb.
Then we will clone them right away. It's perfect, and we'll clone them.
If anybody else, I've got lots of questions. If anybody else has questions, raise your, please. I don't want to take the show here. Okay, thank you. We've got problems with our puppies going into the water and natural ability, okay? And that's probably, I think, one of the biggest problems we have based on some statistical analysis John and Larry Siemens did. We also have some problems with intermediate in the area of the dead drag, and track of the duck. What comparisons can you give us with your puppies in Czechoslovakia, similar or different experiences with your puppies, and what are you doing to deal with that as far as exposure to the pups, training for intermediate, helpful hints?
You know, we have a spring test, what is test of natural ability, where we don't test water.
You don't test water?
Only field work. field work, pointing, steady up to shoot, steady up to pheasant, or feather, both fur and feather game, and ability to follow the track of live hare, which we found out. The hare runs late, so we call the dog handler, let me put the puppy here. If the puppy or young dog is interested to follow the track, nothing else. And then we have a utility test. This test which gives to the dog certificate dog is useful for hunting. Then we have retrieval of pheasant, retrieval of freshly shot pheasant, retrieval of freshly shot hare, track with dead pheasant, dead hare, and blind retrieve of pheasant and hare. And retrieve of duck from water, deep water, that means the dog has to swim.
At what age do you test that?
Any age, at least 10 months.
This is not the same method, are you?
Minimum.
Intermediate, it's similar to our intermediate test.
If the dog's age is 10 months and they have him in the water, do I understand?
After 10 months.
Sometime.
I think a lot of that depends on when they're born and when they got exposed to the water. If they were born, so they say they were 6 months old before the water got warm.
But
then
you
they're
know,
probably not gonna be tested at 10.
this is because we want to, but because people from Animal Welfare Society said no early than 10 months exactly.
Holy dude.
Early on, we have a faucet which was able to successfully go through the utility test in the first trial in the age of 6 months and I think 10 or 9 days. Very perfect work, very early work, and we have we appreciate the dog which is able to learn so many things in such a young age. And we did have about 3% of our dog in population which were able to do it early when they reach 1 year of age. But at present we can. 10 months and that's long.
What kind of duck do you use? Excuse me, Joe.
When did they put that ruling on you? How long? Recently?
Since 2000.
Just a couple of
1st of January 2000.
Excuse me. One of the things that he was explaining to us on the way out, though, that a lot of people are wondering why they're not doing live pheasant track and live duck track. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason is they are not allowed legally to pull the feathers from a wing and let the bird go. It's illegal to do.
I want to speak to that.
Yes.
We have talked about that for a couple of years at our seminars, what's been happening in Europe. And we've been cautioning ourselves that if we're not careful, it will happen here. And if it happens, you lose the ability to do what I think is the most important test to track of the duck. And of course, tracking pheasant too, for us. And several years ago, I think it was the first seminar that Ed Bailey gave in Iowa, he handed out to every chapter a big, thick thing of rules for handling the birds. And I bet you've all filed them, or you maybe don't even have them anymore. But he was trying to emphasize the importance for us to go by these rules so that we can't be cited for the animal, from the animal rights people that were being cruel, not taking care of the birds. So I think we really need to revisit that to protect ourselves. So that's just a caution for that. And also about the water. When we started testing versatile hunting dogs here in 1969, there was Bodo Witterhelt from Germany, and he had tested dogs there, and he knew about it. Ed Bailey and I, we didn't know hardly a thing, except Dr. Tobble's son was here, and he was telling us some things. And so when we started to write the rules based on the German rules for testing the dogs, I don't remember why Bodo didn't say anything about a breeding test, a hot safe thing. He just didn't. I don't know why. And it never came up. All we did was natural ability and utility, a modified utility for here. So when we were writing the rules for natural ability, I insisted that we have a test for water for the natural ability dogs because I knew in those days we would only see 1% of those dogs go on to utility. We would never, most of the dogs we wouldn't see again. So if we wanted to see something about water, we had to see it now. So that's why we have it in natural ability. And in Europe, they don't. So, just some information to know.
I have a quick question to the group. I went to that seminar with Ed Bailey, and I'm vaguely remembering the discussion. I don't remember getting anything written. Does anybody
Well, he
remember?
gave
I do.
it,
Yes,
yes,
he
he
had
gave it
it,
to the presidents, I think.
Does anyone have it with them here? Just out of curiosity.
Does anyone still have it?
Probably in a-
No, but I would offer that it is very common sense type stuff. You know, avoiding unnecessary cruelty, respecting the game, keeping it in good condition, well watered, and that sort of thing.
And that was it, and then after the game is killed, not having it lay around in the sun with flies buzzing all
Yeah,
over it.
right.
Use the meat somehow, use the game somehow, don't throw it in a garbage can. I remember that part of it too.
Some of those birds you can't use.
And it was,
Right.
They've been treated with medication.
it was the taping of the wings rather than pulling the feathers.
Is that what it
And
was?
that type of deal.
Okay.
The
It also
feathers
spoke,
be trimmed.
it also spoke very, he spoke a lot about how we as judges conduct ourselves in the handling of birds in front of the gallery and the people that are standing there. Because it's not so much the people that are looking to get a good hunting dog, but they're going to be the ones that are going to be affected or going to complain about this. It's the person that is tagging along with someone else that wants a hunting dog that goes back and says to their friend, do you realize what they do?
Yeah, be a little discreet.
That's a good point.
So you think you can access a copy then?
No, I don't.
No, I mean,
Dr. Gaston, how do you feel not being able to do the track of the duck? How do you feel that affects, your assessment, your evaluation of the dogs?
Well, I think that it's not too much of it. And I tell you why. We have spoken in a car, if the dog really follow the track of the dead present or hair or the footprints of the person. But if you prepare two tracks, for instance, this hair like that,
Yeah,
this pheasant like that,
yeah,
to be the same person, and you add the dog to retrieve this hair, then this pheasant, then you have to be convinced that the dog follows the track of the game.
yeah.
And, when you train the dog by such way, this is important for us in some peasantries with a very high population of peasants. And when some peasant is shooting to the big and run away, there is so many footprints
Yeah.
and so much of smell, but still the dog is able to follow the track and retrieve the pheasant. We use, for instance, freshly shoot pheasant on the track,
Yeah,
pheasant from refrigerator at the end,
yeah.
and the pheasant which was used for the trap, we threw as far as we are able to somewhere else. A good trained dog follows the trap and never retrieve the pheasant from the refrigerator. Jump over and start search
Yeah.
because he smells something different
Yeah.
and retrieve the pheasant which was used for the trap.
But still,
For a test of the temperament of the dog, the water.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, because I think one thing that we learned in some of our seminars is that the water, I think Joe said this, Ed said this, you said this, is that the versatile dog is a dog that can control its temperament to the point where it can change gears. It can move from one function to another function very rapidly. And so by being able to take a dog and have it be able to track a duck swimming through vegetation and water, it gives us a bit more information as to how well that dog controls its temperament, controls its ability.
Especially if you've got obstacles in the way, it shows how much perseverance that the dog may not pass. You know, they're climbing a log and this and that to stay on a track of duck rather than just going across, you know, a field or whatever, tracking, you know, on land. There's a lot more to it in some of our water areas where we test. We see a lot of dogs, they start on the track and then all of a sudden the objects are in their way and that's it. They break down.
Or when they go to swim, as soon as they leave their feet, they lose their concentration. They can't concentrate on the track. You see that quite, some, not often, but you see.
There's another, that may not be true in other parts of the world, but it is here, is that we do a lot of our waterfowl hunting in that kind of cover. And if the dog is not able to retrieve the duck that scoots off through that kind of stuff, it's not of much use to us. It's not just the dog that goes out and marks something and brings it back. It has to do this and this. And if you're a pheasant hunter, pheasants tend to get kicked up in a while. And a fairly large percentage will run after they're shot. And you need a dog that can get on that track. So I think what we need to always concentrate on is our test should reflect the kind of qualities we're looking for and the kind of hunting that we do. So I think that's why it's important for us to continue these things. But you may be right that if you have to, you can find other ways to determine whether they have those qualities. If you're not forced into it, use this when you can. If you can't, you may still be able to do it, but it's one different.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of duck hunters in Czechoslovakia?
We don't have too much work.
That's why they drink people.
We have some ponds on the south part of Bohemia and the rest of the country. It's just very, very rare.
Some of our duck hunting is pretty tough going. You have rivers and, well, the debris that's, again, the ocean and the debris in the ponds, the logs that they have to climb over and everything. So it's pretty demanding. Beautiful to watch.
At what age do the puppies get removed from the female when they go to their new owners? Once you've had a litter, is
By
it?
our regulation, puppies has to stay at the female until the age of 49 days. 7 weeks. Exactly. No 1 day less. Sure. Otherwise, the breeder is punished.
Do they often keep them longer than that?
Yes.
Or is it encouraged to keep them longer than that? Would it still, our thinking is 10 weeks, is that better than 7?
When the breeder wants to select, for instance, puppy for himself, rather keeps the puppy longer.
Does using the dog on pairs have any impact on the dog's ability with birds? Using to use the dog to track hares or hunt hares, does it have any negative impact on the dog hunting birds?
No. Not at all. On the contrary, I think when we train the dog for the blood track or the deer, the dog much better keep the track of any other animal because it is on the leash and has to follow the track with the nose down.
This question just reminded me, have you seen anything in dogs that is inherited that makes them, gives them a preference for either fur or feather? I mean, I think everybody in this room can say that their dog, sometimes whether by exposure or whatever, really likes this particular kind of game or likes that. But in your testing where you're doing both fur and feather, have you seen any genetic inherent quality that a dog will like one or the other?
I start to teach my dog to retrieve a rabbit because I think they like it most.
Yeah.
And later on, if I'm able to, I use partridge and pheasant as the last.
But you're saying all dogs, it seems, have that same ranking of liking or not liking. It's not a genetic.
You mentioned DNA a couple of times. If you did a DNA analysis of the Draghar, the Griffon, and the Chesky Posek, would it be any different?
This is just the future, I think. DNA analysis is the far future. We have a couple of tests we can use for practical purpose, not too many.
Only to match like progeny to their parents, but
Yes.
not within or.
Microsatellite, something like that. Oh, for instance, progressive retinal anomaly in Irish setter is tested also by DNA analysis.
Are your dogs checked for hip dysplasia, Dr. Viston?
We didn't have a problem with hip dysplasia with the Chesky Posek breed, but still in 1975 we decided to select all the dogs out of the reproduction affected by hip dysplasia. In that year we selected out, this is written in my book, 26.7% of dogs. And we decided to select any dog with any minimum sign of hip dysplasia, minimum designation. And within 5 years, the occurrence of hip dysplasia control dogs dropped down to 2.7%, 10 times less. When I speak about these results in many other dog breeders in our country, they say, we don't believe, we don't trust these results and so on. This is so it is. But in our country, number of clubs, for instance, German Shepherd Club, they have decision control hip dysplasia, but one parent has to be negative. Never positive parents should be bred together, or negative should be bred together, but never do two positive. They have still about 35% of hip dysplasia positive animals, but what is the results after 30 years of control is there is less occurrence of the animals which are highly affected.
No.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
That's the result. So when we did have 2.7% affected animals, we said we quit. We don't control hip dysplasia anymore. And during that time I followed one male, beautiful brown male, good working male, who was selected out with rather high effect of this hip dysplasia. We have score system from 0 to 4. 4 was the highest hip dysplasia. And this male was scored 3-3. And this male was used for the hunting until 13 years of age. And only what we can see that when he was, for instance, retrieving hair, which is about 6-7 pounds heavy animal, from the distance of something like 200-300 meters, he had to take a rest. So he followed the knee of the owner for 3-5 minutes, and then he was able to search again. Only that, what I can say that we saw on such a highly affected male.
Now, have you imported, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gary, go ahead.
Okay, we have a condition that shows up in some of our younger dogs at about 6 months of age. OCD, it's a shoulder problem. Do you see any of that in your dogs?
Jack, what's the whole name of that?
Osteochondritis distal. Osteochondritis distal.
No.
It's the shoulder covering, the joint of the shoulder covering scars, pieces coming, and it's mostly.
Yes, but we didn't record any such problems within our.
Well, I think a lot of it's caused by overdevelopment in the front end of young dogs and overwork and jumping down and things like that. But it is a hereditary. We've proven to ourselves that it's a hereditary problem.
It has something to do with the type of food you're feeding them also, or that.
Yeah, any of the front loading, causes the dogs to overdevelop for age.
Have you used any other breed of, you mentioned a couple short hairs that were used to help various bloodlines. Have you used Griffons from Germany or any other place?
No. Only was used some German Wirehairs.
Back how many years ago there was? Griffons were used many years ago.
I might say 50 more.
That's what we've read, I don't know.
Was before the MCI said you this is a breed of France, or German Dradhaar and Chesky folks. Then they called to breed it.